Joining me now to talk about Donald Trump's media messaging surrounding COVID-19 is Associate Editor at the Daily Maverick, Brooks Spector. Brooks, good evening and thank you for your time. Democrats politicizing coronavirus. It's a new hoax. At the time, he said we had lost no one. They were estimating 30,000 to 40,000 deaths. He says we've lost no one. We've got this totally under control. We're totally prepared. Could that be classified as fake news?
Well, I'm not sure if it's fake news as much as it's willful misrepresenting the truth, willful misrepresenting the facts on the ground, and willfully misrepresenting the advice and guidance of any number of other people who were rather more factually rooted in the ground. The problem with this is I don't want to see Donald Trump's comments on the coronavirus problem as isolated. This kind of behavior has been a constant with Donald Trump really throughout his life. Years ago, when he was active in the business world, and there was a skyscraper apartment office building that was being put together and then offered for sale, he advertised it as having 60 stories. In fact, it had 55 or 56, and when he was called out on it, his reaction was, well, it's for selling. It's truthful hyperbole. When he first came into office, you may recall Kellyanne Conway was called out on any number of comments that had been made right at the beginning of the administration. And her reaction was, oh, now, don't be silly. These are just alternative facts. And the idea here was a distinctly postmodernist idea that there's no such thing as truth. There's no such thing as a fact. There is whatever we say it is. And if we say it often enough, enough people will begin to believe it, that eventually it begins to take over most of the characteristics of fact. Part of what he's doing, Donald Trump, is he does not actually believe all the things that he says, but he seriously hopes that the people who support him, the people who believe in him, he seriously believes that they will accept these things as more truthful than the criticism and the critiques he gets from his political opponents or the media or commentators who just happen to be asked factual questions. And the idea is that he is going to create this new reality. It's sort of like watching the film The Matrix, only it's really taking place.
In real time, is it not? So, Brooks, a CNN report places Donald Trump between 2nd of March and the 8th of March, having been informed personally and warned repeatedly about the growing crisis beginning mid-January. It says between that time, 50 lies or false claims, as you put it, were told. And between March the 9th and March the 15th, 21 false claims were told. So 71 in total. And out of those 71, 33 related to coronavirus. I mean, what does that tell you?
Well, what it tells me is that that's a microcosm of a much larger picture. There are a couple of reporters who work for the Washington Post, and their sole task now is to record, catalog, and evaluate the untruths, the mistruths, the deliberate mistruths, and the liar, liar, pants on fire mistruths emanating from Donald Trump. And the number of these things, depending on how you want to catalog them, over the last almost 4 years is I hope you're sitting down, it's an absolutely mind-boggling total of over 20,000 discrete individual statements.
Dear me. Wow.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. No, my 71 pales in comparison to what you've just told us now, Brooks. Donald Trump, though, has at times himself called out fake news. So when he is calling something fake news, what actually is he talking about?
Well, fake news is the kind of news that doesn't put him in the best possible light. It's the kind of news that casts doubt on his views, on his policies, or on his attitudes, or in fact points out that he's just said a porky pie. And fake news is the kind of thing that can make him look less bold, less masculine, less in charge, less leader in a war against a virus, less dominant in his struggle with China over trade, and on and on and on. But the very idea of fake news, the term itself, now has worldwide applicability. Sometimes you will hear Vladimir Putin refer to fake news. Sometimes you will hear the president of Turkey refer to fake news. Sometimes you will hear others refer to fake news, simply because this is a very convenient way of saying, I don't like what I have just heard, and I am going to make sure that you don't like it either, and I'm going to make sure, in fact, that you doubt its veracity. If you listen to me long enough, you will begin to see it my way. Now, one of the real fascinating parts of this is many of these complaints are so preposterous that, you just shake your head. How can this possibly be a statement coming from a world leader? And the secret to this is very simple. The more preposterous it is, the more far-fetched it is, the more likely it is that you're going to be able to convince people who want to support you anyway that it's actually true. I mean, why would you say something that is so outrageous that can't possibly be anything other than the truth?